Hello, and welcome to Mythcrafts. My name is Dr. Emma Woods. I'm a mythologist, a folklorist, and an author, and I run Mythcrafts with my husband, Shiva Kumar. So today we are headed to ancient Egypt and visiting with one of the lesser known, but arguably one of my favourite goddesses, Seshat, also known as she who was foremost in the library, which is a sentiment that I can certainly relate to. After all, who doesn't love a good library? The goddess Seshat was related to Tauth, the god of wisdom and learning, who brought writing and hieroglyphs to the Egyptian people. Now, most accounts consider Seshat to be Tauth's daughter, but sometimes she is seen as a consort instead, so a sister or a wife. As a goddess in her own right, Seshat was tasked with presiding over all that was written. She ruled the entire domain of the written word, overseeing its use not only in the mortal world, but also the celestial heavens and the realm of the dead. In the Handbook of Egyptian Mythology by Geraldine Pinch, she provides one of my favourite epitaphs for Seshat, she who was foremost in the library. This makes sense given Seshat was the collector and cataloguer of all the works stored within. And libraries were important institutions in Egyptian life. So much so that the literal translation from the hieroglyph for library is the House of Life. This institution was not only where all of the important and sacred texts were kept, but it was in the House of Life that the scribes and scholars would gather and meet to discuss concepts such as religion, cosmology, astronomy, and mathematics. So I have the hieroglyph for library, or the House of Life, on the screen. You can see the two open squares that represent houses, and you can see how they are both flanking the Ankh, the symbol of life, so literally, the House of Life. Now the texts Seshat collected in her libraries on earth were also mirrored and collected in the celestial House of Life in the heavens. Here, texts were given immortality through their eternal storage in this heavenly library. This also meant scribes could earn themselves a form of immortality via their words if Seshat retained them in her collections. It was a blessing for any writer who managed to impress the goddess. As well as collecting works, Seshat also took on the role of scribe alongside Tauth. The Egyptians saw writing as a form of magic, believing that if something could be created in the form of a written word, it could also manifest into the world through the word as a medium. And this is something that holds true for many magical systems to this present day. Seshat's work as a scribe also meant recording and tallying things, including the passing of years, and she is often depicted holding a palm frond, which she marks with notches to designate the passage of time. In his article Seshat and the Pharaoh, Egyptologist Gerald Avery Wainwright notes how her role as tally master also connected her to said festivals, which were important Jubilee celebrations conducted to commemorate 30 years of a pharaoh's rule. Seshat, as the marker of time, was the goddess that recorded the pharaoh's rule, and therefore she became a major deity involved with these lavish ceremonies. Said festivals were really important. They both marked a long rule, but also helped reassert authority as the pharaoh aged. If a ruler made it to their first said festival, they would then be held every 3 to 4 years to continue to show the ruler still retained the favour of the gods, even through their aging years. Wainwright also puts forward a theory that prior to the Old Kingdom, Seshat was even more revered, and that as well as counting the pharaoh's living years, she controlled the allotment of them. For example, how long the pharaoh would live. Kind of like the idea of fate. So Seshat also functions as a psychopomp, a guide in the underworld. As the keeper of books, she was also associated with the funerary text, which was central to ancient Egyptian religion and burial rites. In this form, Seshat could assist the newly dead in interpreting the spells written down in their own Book of the Dead. This was especially important given the books were unique and often varied in which spells they contained. In this role, Seshat functioned by helping them to navigate safely through their underworld passage and into the afterlife. This idea of a psychopomp is also echoed in Seshat's iconography. She is often depicted wearing leopard hide, which is traditionally symbolic of the funerary priests of ancient Egypt. So here we have a figure of Seshat, which is carved on the back of a throne of the seated statue of Ramses II. If you look closely at the carving, you can see the circles dotting her outfit, which represent the leopard hide. You can also see she is marking notches on the spine of a palm frond that is sadly just out of the photograph frame. But you can see the notched palm spine towering above her where she's already marked it. Now another important task Seshat performed was helping the pharaoh in the ceremony laying of the knotted cord. The knotted cord was a device used in ancient Egypt by builders, and it served a purpose in measuring out foundations and also aligning with sacred geometry with the heavens. This ceremonial task was known as the stretching of the cord and expanded Seshat's patronage to builders as well. In ancient Egypt, building and writing were seen as intimately related processes. After all, they both involve the conception and creation of something that has not existed before. This is a poetic understanding of the process of writing as well as architecture, though it could be extended out to any of the arts. So the next time you are creating something from nothing, including but not limited to accounting, architecture, astronomy, astrology, building, mathematics, and surveying, remember the goddess Seshat and hope that she smiles upon you. Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to like our video, leave a comment, or subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you being here. Goodbye.